Hello students, welcome to online video lecturing. The subject is control engineering. So in the last video we have seen about what do you mean by the closed control loop and what are the advantages of closed control loops systems and what are the disadvantages and some of the real-time applications we have discussed. Along with that we have seen the comparison or the differences between open loop and closed loop control system. And also we have seen what are the requirements of the good control system, that is ideal control system. So in this session we will discuss about effect of feedback on the system performances. So as we have seen that in the closed loop control system we are having the feedback element. So now we'll try to understand what are the advantages or what are the effect of that element to having in the closed control system. So basically the feedback is an important property of closed loop control system. So the various effects of the feedback on the system performances I have listed here. So we'll go one by one. So the very first one is it reduces the time constant of the system. So like the feedback reduces the time constant of the system because this indicates that the system becomes more fast due to feedback, which improves its time response. And the second one is reduces the overall gain of the system. Here the overall gain of the system reduces due to the feedback element. Thus by controlling the feedback, the gain of the system can be controlled as per the requirement. Then the third one is controls the dynamics of the system. So here the feedback controls the dynamics of the system by adjusting the locations of its closed loop poles. Therefore, the stability of the system, which depends on the locations of the closed loop poles, can be controlled by using this feedback. That is also one of the advantage. Then the fourth one is increases the bandwidth. So since the feedback increases the bandwidth, that is the frequency range over which the system performance is satisfactory. Then the fifth one is reduces the effect of disturbances. So here the feedback reduces the effect of the disturbances which is occurring in the forward path. So feedback path as well as the output. So having these feedback element in a control system can have these many advantages. Now moving further, so the regulating systems or regulators. So what exactly mean by regulating system? So it is a feedback control system in which for a present value of the reference input, the output is kept constant as its desired value. So whatever may be the input, so based on the required output, so you are going to compare the output with the input value here. Through this regulating system, you can actuate the error signals which will be sent to the process plant. So in such systems, reference input remains constant for long periods. Most of the time, the reference input or the desired output is either constant or slowly varying with the time. So in regulator, the desired value of the controlled outputs is more or less fixed. So similarly, reference input is also fixed and called set point. So therefore, these type of regulators maintains a constant output for a fixed reference input. The problems due to disturbances are mainly rectified by the regulator. Whatever the disturbances, either it may be internal disturbances or external disturbances, these things will be get rectified by these kind of the regulators. If you take the example of a regulator system in a servo stabilizer, we have seen that earlier that in voltage stabilizer, position of tap on secondary is adjusted by using relay controllers. But instead of fixed tap, the entire secondary can be smoothly tapped using the servo motor drive. So the servo motor drives the shaft and controls the position of the tap on the secondary as per the control signal. Due to the fluctuations in the main input, if the load voltage changes, such effects are rectified by the regulator to keep load voltage constant. So here the main function or the working principle of this regulator is to maintain the desired output. If any deviation from the output is occurring in the system, at that time it will try to actuate the controlling actions to get the desired output. Then moving further, so we have seen the types of the control system, that is open loop, closed loop, all those things. Now we'll try to understand what are the controllers that is the controllers which are designed by using the open loop or closed loop systems. So basically The concept of a control system is to sense a deviation of the output from the desired value and correct it till the desired output is achieved. That means it is a trial and error component. So the deviation of the actual output from its desired value is called an error. So the measurement of error is possible because of feedback element. Till and unless if you won't have the feedback element in the system, you cannot measure the error signal. The feedback allows us to compare the actual output with its desired value to generate the error. Therefore, the error is denoted as E of t here. You can see here, this is the error generated and this is the feedback element and this is the feedback signal. It will compare with the reference input. So by comparing this feedback signal with the reference input, error will be calculated. Okay. So the desired value of the output is, we can call it as a reference input or a set point. Therefore, the error obtained is required to be analyzed to take the proper corrective action. So basically, the controller is an element which accepts the error in some form and decides the proper corrective action. That is the basic definition of the controller. The output of the controller is then applied to the process or the final control element. This brings the output back to its desired set point value. The controller is the heart of the control system. The accuracy of the entire system depends on how sensitive is controller to the error detected and how it is manipulating such an error. Therefore, the controller has its own logic to handle the error. So nowadays, for a better accuracy, the digital controllers such as microprocessors, microcontrollers, computers are used. Such controllers execute certain algorithm to calculate the manipulating signal. Okay, so in further discussion, we'll go through the some of the types of the controller, that is on-off controllers, continuous controllers such as proportional, integral, derivative, and composite controllers such as combination of proportional, integral, proportional plus derivative. Okay, so this is the basic block diagram of the control system. So in this, the actual output is sensed by the sensor and is converted to a proper feedback signal. So here the B of t is the feedback signal using this feedback element. The set point value is the reference input, that is R of t is the reference input. For example, the actual output variable may be temperature, but using thermocouple, a feedback element, the feedback signal, that is B of t, is an electrical voltage. So this is then compared with the reference input, which is also an electrical voltage. The thermocouple senses the output temperature and produces the corresponding electrical EMF as the feedback signal. So this generated EMF is fed to the controller. Hence the actual output variable sense and the feedback signal may be having different forms. Now moving further, we'll go through the classification of controllers. So the classification of controllers is based on a response of the controller and mode of operation of the controller here. For example, in a simple temperature control of a room, the heater is to be controlled. It should be switched on or off by controller when temperature crosses its set point. Such an operation of the controller is discontinuous operation, and the mode of operation is called discontinuous mode of controller. But in some process control systems, simple on and off decision is not sufficient. So in that cases, for example, if you consider controlling of a steam flow by opening or closing the valve, in such cases the smooth opening or of valve is necessary. The controller in such cases is said to be operating in continuous mode. So therefore the controllers are basically classified as discontinuous controllers and continuous controllers. The discontinuous mode controllers further classified as on-off controllers and multi-position controllers. And in case of continuous mode controllers are further classified into proportional controllers, integral controllers, and derivative controllers. Some of the continuous mode controllers can be combined to obtain composite control mode. The example of such composite controllers are PI controller, that is proportional integral, PD proportional plus derivative, and PID proportional plus derivative plus integral controllers. The most of the controllers are placed in forward path of the control system, but in some cases it is necessary that the input to the controller is controlled through a feedback path. For example, rate feedback of a controller. So first we'll try to go through the continuous controller modes. So in the discontinuous controller mode, the output of a controller is discontinuous and not smoothly varying. But in case of continuous controller mode, the controller output varies smoothly proportional to the error or the proportional to some form of error. Depending upon which form of the error is used as input to the controller to reduce the continuous controller output, these controllers we can classify as proportional controllers, that is first one, integral controllers and derivative controllers, and the remaining three are the combined controllers, that is composite controllers. Then moving further, the very first one is proportional controller. So in P controller, in short we can call it as a P controller. So here the output of the controller signal, that is controlled signal, is directly proportional to the error signal. So in this control mode, the relation between error signal, that is E of t, and the controller output P is determined by a constant called proportional gain, and it is denoted by Kp here. So this is the mathematical equation for the P controllers, where P of t is the output, E of t is the error signal, and K suffix P is the proportional gain. Therefore the output of the controller is a linear function of the error E of t. So thus each value of error has a unique value of the controller output. So the range of error which covers 0% to 100% controller output is called as proportional band. If the error is ranging from 0 to 100%, we can call that band as the proportional band. So the basic relationship between output and error signal is given by this equation, where this Kp is proportional gain. If you take the Laplace transform of this equation, it will become P of s is equal to K suffix P into E of s. And this is the basic block diagram for the proportional controller. Then if there exists a linear relationship between controller output and the error, but for a zero error, the controller output should not be zero, otherwise process will not complete, your process will come to halt. Hence there exists some controller output P0, that is for the zero error. So for the zero error we can rewrite this equation by adding this P0, where this P0 is controller output with zero error here. Therefore the direct and reverse action is possible in case of proportional control mode. The error may be positive or negative because error is R minus B, and B can be less or greater than the input. That is, here you are going to have that R and B will be error signal. B can be greater or less than this R. So that time either it may be positive or negative. If the controlled variable, that is input to the controller, increases, causing the increase in the controller output, the action is called as direct action. For example, the output value is to be controlled to maintain the liquid level in a tank. So if the level increases, the valve should be opened more to maintain the level. If the controlled variable decreases, causing the increase in the controlled output, or increases in the controlled variable, causing the decrease in the controller output, the action is called as reverse action. For example, simple heater control for maintaining the temperature. If the temperature increases, the drive to heater must be increased. So if E of t, that is the error signal, is negative, then this Kp into E of t gets subtracted from the P0 here, that is zero gain. Okay. So in this equation, by using the negative sign to the correction term, that is Kp into E of t, it is here, the direct action proportional to controller can be achieved. So then moving further, the proportional controller depends on the proper design of gain Kp for a fixed P0, that is, here the P0 is nothing but controller output with zero error. Okay, so for the fixed P0, if the gain Kp is high, then the large output results for the small error, but the narrow error band can be handled. Beyond these limits of the error, output will be saturated. If the gain is small, then the response is smaller, but the large error band can be handled. So here in this figure you can see that this is for the higher gain and this is for the smaller gain. Here this response is for the gain when the gain is small, but the error will be more, and this is for the when the gain is high but the error will be less. Then moving further, we'll try to go through some of the characteristics of the proportional controller. So in this one, the very first one is when the error is 0, the controller output is constant equal to P0, that is controller gain with the 0 error. If the error occurs, then for every 1% of error, the correction of Kp percentage is achieved. If the error is positive, then the percentage of Kp correction gets added to P0. If error is negative, then the Kp correction, that is proportional gain, percent of the proportional gain gets subtracted from P0. Therefore, the band of error exists for which the output of the controller is between 0 to 100% without subtraction. So therefore, the gain Kp and the error band Eb are inversely proportional to each other. Now we'll try to understand one more concept, that is offset. Try to understand what exactly this offset error is. So the major disadvantages of these kind of proportional control mode is that it produces an offset error in the output. When the load changes, the output deviates from the set point. Such a deviation is called as offset error or the steady state error. Okay, so as you can see in the figure, the offset error depends upon the reaction rate of the controller. Slow reaction rate produces small offset error, while fast reaction rate produces large offset error. Therefore, the dead time or the transfer lag present in the system further it will deviates the actual results. So it produces not only the large offset at the output, but the time required to achieve the steady state is also more. Then the offset error can be minimized by large proportional gain, that is Kp, which reduces the proportional band. If the proportional gain, that is Kp, is made very large, the proportional band becomes so small that it can act as an on and off controller, producing oscillations about set point instead of an offset error. So here if you want to remove this offset error, so that time you need to make that proportional gain as the larger one. So that time your system will become on and off, that is it will produce the oscillating signals, so that you will not get the offset error. So some of the basic applications where you can use the proportional controller are wherever you require the manual reset of operating point is possible, and wherever the load changes are very small, the dead time exists in the system is small. Then moving further, the second one is integral controller. So in this controller, the output of the controller is integral of error signal, that is the output of the controlling action signal is directly proportional to the it is directly proportional to the integral of the error signal. So in proportional control mode, that is previous controller, error reduces but cannot go to 0, but finally produces an offset error as we have seen in the previous slide. So it cannot adapt with the changing load condition. So to avoid this, another control mode is often used in the control system, which is known as integral controller. So this mode, in such controllers, the value of controller output, that is P of t, is changed at a rate which is proportional to the acting error signal, that is E of t. So mathematically can be expressed as dp of t divided by t is equal to ki into E of t, where this ki is constant rate into error and rate. So if you take the Laplace transform of this equation, it will become s into p of s. So here s, because it is a derivative, p of s is equal to ki into E of s, or you can write it as p of s equal to ki into E of s divided by s. So this is the basic block diagram for the integral controller. So here this is the controlling unit, and for the constant ki in this equation, we can call this constant as integral constant. So if you integrate this equation, that is p of s is equal to ki of s, ki into E of s divided by s. By integrating, you will get p equal to ki into integral of E of t into dt plus p naught. Again, here p naught is controller output when integral action starts, that is at time t equal to 0. So here the output signal from the controller at any instant is the area under the actuating error signal curve up to the instant. If the value of the error is doubled, the value of p of t varies twice as fast, that is rate of the controller output change also doubles. If the error is 0, then the controller output is not changed. The control signal p of t can have non-zero values. Is here the control signal p of t can have non-zero value when the error signal E of t is 0. So this is because output depends on the history of the error and not on the instantaneous value of the error. So this you can see from this figure. This is for the error and this is for the controller output. So here you can see that the area under this curve is going to be the error. Okay, so when the proper controlling actions has taken place, will change to this one. Then moving further, if the system is having step response for the integral controllers, that time you can see that the control mode is this way. This is step response of the integral controller mode is given by this figure. So here the integration time constant is the time taken for the output to change by an amount equal to the input error step. So integration time is nothing but it is the time taken by the controller to change its output to get the required input, that is whatever the error is calculated, to manipulate or to deviate, to avoid the deviation of the output from the desired input. The calculation time is required. That time is known as integral time, and it can be seen that when error is positive, the output p of t ramps up here. Then for zero error, there is no change in the output. For zero error, there is no change in the output. And when error is negative, the output ramps down here this way. Okay. So now we'll try to go through some of the characteristics of integral controller mode. So in this case, integrating controller is a relatively slow controller. It changes its output at a rate which is dependent on the integrating time constant until the error signal is cancelled. And compared to the proportional controller, the integral control requires time to build up an appreciable output. However, it continues to act till the error signal disappears. So this corrects the problem of offset error in case of proportional controller. For example, let us assume that the integral controller is used to control the armature current of a DC motor and to keep its value constant at 500 ampere. As long as the armature current is less than 500 ampere, that time the armature voltage controlled by the controller will increase. Thus the output of the controller will increase and will continue to do so till the error becomes 0, that is armature current becomes 500 ampere. then the controller output will remain at that value reached. This is possible because of the output of the controller can remain at any value within its range. If the input is 0, okay, the controller must not be overdriven, as it will not then be effective. Thus, for the integral mode, if the error is 0, output remains at a fixed value equal to what it was when the error becomes 0. If the error is not 0, then the output begins to increase or decrease at a rate ki, that is integral gain, per second for every plus or minus 1% of the error. So in some cases, the inverse of integral gain, that is ki, is called as integral time is specified, and it is denoted by ti. So ti is given by reciprocal of integral gain, that is ti equal to 1 by ki. And some of the applications in comparison with the proportional and integral mode, if you compare the proportional and integral, initial behavior of the p-type controller, that is proportional controller, it acts immediately and action according to the proportional gain. In case of integral, it acts slowly and it is the time integral of the error signal. If you check the steady state behavior, in case of proportional gain, offset error always present, as we have seen in the while discussing the proportional controllers, and the larger the gain value, smaller the error. But in case of integral controller, error signal always becomes 0. There is no offset present in case of integral controller. Then moving further, that is the third one, derivative controller. In short, we can call it as the D controller. So here the output of the controller is a derivative of the error signal. That is, mathematically it can be represented as P of t, that is output, is equal to Kd into dE of t by dt, derivative of the error signal, where this Kd is derivative gain constant. Once you take the Laplace transform of this equation, so we will get P of s equal to Kd into s into E of s, and this is the basic block diagram for the derivative controller. So usually in practice, the error is a function of a time, and at a particular instant it can be 0, but it may not remain 0 forever after that instant, and some of the action is required corresponding to rate at which the error is changing. So in such cases we can use a controller which are called as a derivative controller, because they are time dependent. In this mode, the output of the controller depends on the time rate of change of the actual errors. So now the derivative gain constant indicates by how much percentage the controller output must be changed for every percentage per second rate of change of the error. Generally, the Kd, that is derivative gain or derivative constant, is expressed in minutes. Okay. So the important features of this type of controller is that for a given rate of change of error signal, there is a unique value of the controller output. And the main advantage of derivative control action is that it responds to the rate of change of error and can produce the significant correction before the magnitude of the actuating error becomes too large. So in case of previous controllers, after getting the output only you are going to check the actual required output, right, from the output signal, that is from the feedback signal you are going to compare. But in case of derivative controller, instantly it is going to check the output, and if there is any deviations or if there is any error is occurring, at that time directly it will produce the significant corrections. Okay, so it will improve the stability of the system. So therefore the derivative control thus anticipates the actuating errors, initiates an early corrective action here, and tends to increase the stability. Some of the characteristics of derivative controller. So this figure shows, that is this one, how the derivative mode changes the controller output for various rate of change of the error. Okay, so here along this one you are having E of t, that is the error, and here along x-axis it is time, and the second one is along y-axis, it is controller output, that is P of t. Then here along x-axis we are having t. If the controller output is 50% for a zero error, when error starts increasing, the controller output suddenly jumps to higher value. It further jumps to higher value for higher rate of increase of error. Then the error becomes constant. The output returns to 50%. When error is decreasing, that is having a negative slope, the controller output decreases. Yeah. Controller slope will decrease and output increases suddenly to the lower value. Yeah. When the error is decreasing, your output value is also suddenly it is decreasing to the lower value. So if you consider some of the characteristics of these kind of controllers, the very first one is, for the given rate of change of error signal, there is a unique value of the controller output. When the error is 0, controller output is also 0. And when the error is constant, the rate of change of error is 0, the controller output will be 0. And when the error is changing with the time, the controller output changes by percentage by kd percentage, that is derivative gain for even 1% per second rate of change of error. If there is a small deviation in the error, your derivative gain will be changing. According to that, it will actuates the controlling actions. And if you look at the some of the applications of this derivative controllers, whenever the error is 0 or constant, derivative controller output is also 0, as we have seen from this graph. Hence it is never used alone. Its gain should be small, because faster rate of change of error can cause very large sudden change of the controller output. This may lead to instability of the system. So wherever your system is insensitive to the external disturbances, in that cases you can use these kind of the controllers. Thank you. So in this video we are saying what is the effect of the feedback element on the system, and what do you mean by regulators, and what is the working principle of regulator, and we have seen the types of the controllers, what exactly controller is, and classification of the controller, and we have gone through three types of controllers, that is proportional controllers, integral controllers, and derivative controllers. So in the next video we'll be discussing about the composite controllers. So that is combination of PI, that is proportional plus integral, proportional plus derivative, and proportional plus integral plus derivative controllers. Thank you.